So we're back again with our third attempt at a decent commentary. Duke.Togo is joining me again. We're playing through Legacy of the Wizard on the NES.
We probably should use the word "we" very loosely. We're watching you play through.
Yes, this one we're doing a little differently. I recorded that prior to the commentary instead of at the same time like we did with Togo and Shadowgate. So we're seeing how that works out for us.
Yeah, and I'll be curious to see. I mean, hopefully this will let you concentrate a little bit more on what we're chit-chatting about.
Yeah, I think so. Hope so anyway.
So tell me, Legacy of the Wizard, had you played this one a lot before kind of coming in and trying to do this?
I played it for the first time about 2 years ago, and then I was able to finish it, mostly on my own. I did use a little bit of help halfway through. I think it was for the mother's part. But I did map most of it out myself. This time, however, I used a guide for quite a bit of the game.
Yeah, I can't blame you because I've seen like the world map of this thing. It's pretty colossal.
It is, and not just colossal, it's confusing too because there's a lot of secret doors. You have to fall through certain paths or jump through walls at certain parts. And there's even parts they're secrets, but you can't stumble upon them by accident really because you've got to like fly using a magic spell or jump off an enemy's head to them. They're not things that you normally do by mistake.
So does it make you wonder, because when I was a kid, this thing came out, and I would go and I would rent it, but I mean, it was fun for me to play, but there was just no way I was going to figure out what to do. You know what I mean?
I could totally see that, yeah. It's like one of those games where you need a few heads all playing the game at the same time and sharing what little bits they find so you can kind of map it out with a few different people.
Yeah, and that was just way beyond me at that point in time, so that's it. I would just go through and kind of plunk around the levels and never really understand why I couldn't get really far.
Yeah, like I said, the first time I played it was like 2 years ago. I wouldn't have been into this when I was a kid either, but it's a blast now that I've got the patience for it.
Yeah, I think even as a kid, I think that the big thing, I love the music in some of these games, and I really love the music in this one.
It's really good in here, yeah. A couple of the characters' themes are awesome.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say the most NES games, the ending's not too exciting, but the ending credits music is actually really, really good. Worth the kind of cool for the ending to have something to look forward to anyway.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned this a little earlier that one of the composers for this was Yuzo Koshiro. And he was kind of a little bit better known in the Mega Drive Genesis days for soundtracks and kind of being the brains behind like some of the Streets of Rage games and Revenge of Shinobi.
Nice, yeah, I like the Streets of Rage music. I don't remember Shinobi all that well. I'll have to brush up on it after this.
Yeah, Revenge of Shinobi, amazingly fantastic game. Loved that one when it first came out. And his group has a Xbox Live indie game that came out, I want to say about a year or so ago. It's in Japanese, so you kind of have to look around if you're interested in it, but it's the English title is Protect Me Knight, and it's kind of like a little fun tower defense-ish kind of thing, but with like 4-player local multiplayer, and it's just a fun little romp and not very expensive.
Very cool.
Yeah, definitely worth it. It's just amazing to see some of these people that started out so long ago.
Still sticking it out, yeah.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about what's going on with the girl right now.
So yeah, you might notice the repetition right now. I'm just trying to mine some gold and keys right off the bat here. Mostly the gold. So you'll notice me running back to the house every once in a while.
Right.
That's because the lower your items are, the more likely they'll drop. The enemies will drop the item for that. So when my magic gets to certain amount after using so much of it. Instead of dropping the gold I'm looking for, it'll start dropping the magic to replenish it. So if I run back to the house, it refills my magic, and then I can get more gold drops.
Wow, alright, that is a very scientific approach.
Yes. And you'll notice too, if you watch closely, I didn't figure that out right away. I'm picking up a lot of magic for a little while until I figure out I should go refill it.
So, why are keys and gold so critical?
Keys open chests and doors. Not too big this early in the game, but later on you'll need a ton of keys. They're also the rarest drop. Even if you've got your life, magic, and gold maxed out, keys are still quite sparse. The gold, as long as your life and magic are full, enemies almost always drop gold. So that one's easy to get as long as you can keep your stuff full. There's shops spread throughout the game and inns. The shops have some really key items, and it's a lot easier to buy something from a shop than to trudge through these levels of the dungeon to try and find where they're hidden in a chest somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, so even though it's a lot of time and boring to grind for the gold, it saves me a lot of time searching the dungeons for stuff that I'm not quite sure where it is.
Sure, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And like I see here, I mean, as a kid, it always really kind of ticked me off that sometimes you would get poison as an item.
It seems a little cruel.
Kind of cruel.
Yeah, and they drop them quite often too. I'd say
so
probably
if you take a quick action approach to this thing, you're going to end up walking into those pretty often.
Even slowing down, I walked into them a lot. I would wait for the enemy's item to appear before I grabbed it. I would see that it's a poison and then grab it for some reason anyway half the time. Just so ingrained to pick up items in every other game that just have to grab them sometimes, I guess.
Yeah, that's what it kind of seems odd. So tell me, why are you using the girl to do this right now?
I could use anyone for this part. I'm just gonna head off with her as soon as I've got my gold up. So instead of switching characters, I just stuck out with her.
I see.
I probably should have used the family pet, Pachi, because he doesn't take damage from enemies, so if I accidentally walk into someone, it won't hurt me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the purpose of... Why wouldn't you just play the whole game through as Pachi then?
Because each character has different stats and different abilities. Pachi doesn't take damage from other monsters because he's a monster himself.
Yeah.
But he's got the worst jump out of anyone in the family, and the range of his attack is extremely small. He's pretty strong, but you have to be right next to someone to hit them. But it's just his jump is just so awful that you can't explore much of the dungeon.
So what does his function in the game kind of... Is he just so you can start kind of scouting things out safely?
Yeah, he can be a really good scout. And there's 4 crowns you have to collect throughout the game in order to get the sword to defeat the final boss.
Okay.
He can actually get to one of the crowns, so you can use him for one of those, which you'll see after I find the daughter's crown here.
Okay. So there's 4 crowns, but there are how many playable characters?
5.
5.
Yeah.
Okay. So why 5 if there are only 4 crowns?
Because like I mentioned, there's a sword to defeat the final boss. So you can grab 4 crowns, 1 with each character, and then your 5th character, the son, Rayos, he can use the sword to fight the final boss. He doesn't actually get to collect a crown if you don't want him to.
I see. Okay. So they all have their distinct purpose. You really can't ignore any of the characters, right?
Well, I've seen some tool-assisted speedruns and stuff, so I don't know if they're possible without the tool assists, but I've seen them go through the game ignoring some characters and grabbing crowns, multiple crowns with the same guy. So it might be possible to do it with little planning.
I see. And what approach did you decide to take? Did you pretty much say, I'm going to use each character to get 1 crown?
Yeah, and you'll see that. I grab 1 crown with each character, and then I used my final character to attack the last boss.
Very good. Now, is there a reason why you can only use the sun for the last boss?
Because you won't notice until I open up my item select screen there. Right after you select your character, it kind of flashed on there. Each character has different weapons that are unique to them. There's some that everybody can use, but some that only certain people can use. The son is the only one that can equip that sword you need to fight the last boss, so he's the only one even available to attempt it with.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because like the father has stronger attack and the dog, so it would be nice to bring them into the last boss fight, but it just won't let you.
Gotcha. So you think when they sit down to design this game, their intent was really you should use each character for one chunk of the game?
I think so, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well that makes sense. I mean, why would they throw them in if they weren't?
Yeah, there's like the daughter, she has the best jumping ability out of anyone. So there's parts where it's quite obvious that you should be using her. There's a lot of jumping involved.
Okay.
But later on you can get these jump shoes, and a couple of the other characters can equip them. So if you wanted to, you could go through it with the son or the mother, I believe. But every time you use the jump shoe, you use a little bit of magic. So with the daughter, you get the free big jump instead of using up your magic.
I see. So you've talked a little bit about, I think, all the characters except the mother. So what's the mother like?
The mother is the mage. She has access to some of the more unique items. Like she's got these wings that help her fly. She's got a rod where she can push blocks out of the way. And by push, I mean like just fling. She tosses them back and forth across the screen. It's crazy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and she's got a little less range in her weapon than the daughter, but it does a little bit more damage. There's actually two others in the family I didn't mention too, is the grandparents are hanging around the house there. I don't know if you noticed them.
Yeah. And, remind me kind of what purpose they serve.
Grandma gives you passcodes to continue your game exactly where you left off. Any items you found, however many keys and gold you've got, she'll keep everything the same. And Grandpa is where you input those codes that Grandma gives you. So next time you turn on your game, you talk to Grandpa, give him the code, and you're back where you were.
Oh, I see. I guess that makes pretty good sense then, doesn't it?
Yeah, kind of neat how they included everyone around the table there.
Yeah, and that kind of interesting that they use a character instead of just a boring password screen, like most other games.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool just concept to have a whole family as your team. Very interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean I guess, the creator of these games, Falcom, really started out doing a lot of PC kind of RPGs.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that, they did, the Ys series.
Right.
I think, which is probably what I think they're best known for sure.
Over here, anyway, yeah. Doesn't the Dragon Slayer series have quite a following in Japan?
I believe so. Not quite as much as Ys, but definitely, Falcom, I think, has a lot more love over there, obviously, than it does here. But
I'm surprised too, because it seems like a really influential series. I'm surprised that they'd import more of it over here.
Yeah, I guess you have to think of the time that a lot of this stuff started. I guess they had some just different computer systems that we really didn't have over here very much. Like PC-88 and MSX.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much you know about MSX, but
very little.
That's kind of a weird little story all in itself. MSX is a computer standard that basically Microsoft got started. Why it was something that was pushed hard in Japan and not really heard of at all here, I don't understand. That's but interesting that Microsoft was one of the big pieces behind it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but really nothing like that here. If I believe, I'd have to go do a little more homework, so don't quote me, but I think that the MSX was available a little bit in Europe, but I don't know if it ever really came to the US, and if it did, it must have been so limited.
Yeah, someone will have to ask Marriott guy.
Yeah, that's true. He would definitely know if one of them came out here as well.
Absolutely.
Trick. And I've seen the MSX. It's and obviously there's different models of the thing, but it looks very standard,
Right.
computer keyboardy, but it kind of has like some controller buttons and whatnot, kind of on the keyboard. So it's pretty interesting.
So you might have just noticed there I had to wait for an enemy to start respawning and then use him to leap up over a pit I couldn't make.
Yeah, I saw that. What's that all about?
There's a lot of weird jumps in this game that you have to coax enemies over to make them. It's just very weird.
And so, do you take damage by doing that, or?
The way I did it there, I waited for him to respawn. They turn into this little ball before they actually grow back. You don't take damage if you can get into them that way. If you're just jumping on a standard enemy's head, you take a little bit of damage, but it's usually not too bad. Your life meter is actually pretty decent size in this game.
So you almost have to use that as a mechanic to get hurt sometimes just so you can make a jump?
Not almost, you do. There's a few spots where it's absolutely 100% necessary. Right here, for example, I had to walk on that guy's head to not be running on the spikes.
Right. What is, so it looked like you just got some sort of wings there.
I did, that's the wings for the mother. So it'll take up like one magic piece every second to use it, and it'll just let her fly anywhere that you can walk.
Now I keep seeing those little symbols there that looks like a female face. What are those?
Those won't have any significance until we find all the crowns, and then there's like a maze, because I'm gonna guess around 8 to 10 of those things hidden around the game, and you've got to use the 4 crowns to warp 4 times to find the dragon sword, the dragon slayer sword. So you got to kind of pay attention, and you'll get a little hint later on. That one that I just walked past, there's a volcano in the screen right before it, and later in the game someone will make mention of a volcano and a princess, and you'll have to remember that's where you have to go with the crown to start warping around.
Interesting. So now, I see you going in and buying some of these items in these shops. Is it that there are only certain shops that sell certain items, or?
Yes, every shop sells 2 different items, and they don't ever change. They're always in the same spots every time you play the game. So if you know where to get items for decent prices, and it's easier than trying to track down the treasure chest, it's almost always worth it to find it in the shop. And there's...
Gotcha. So that... Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say there's one item that you can only get in the shops, and that is the shield. You'll find later in the game when I get to a further shop into the dungeon. You can't actually find that one in any treasure chest.
Interesting. So, like right now in this piece of the game, are you really just going around and just using this character to really collect a lot of items for others, and not really going for the crown right now?
I'm getting items, yes, because the wings are absolutely necessary. At the last shop, I just picked up a pickaxe also, which is for the daughter here. It is going to allow her to get to her crown, because right here you'll notice I can knock out this white block. I need to go to the inn and equip it, though. I kind of forgot that there.
Oh, you can only equip items in the inn?
The inn or your house, yeah. And you can only carry 3 items at a time, so 3 is usually good enough, but there's the odd time when you wish you had another spot.
So that forces you to kind of take a route to one of the inns so you can switch up?
Yeah, fortunately they're fairly plentiful in the game. They're not too hard to come by. You just gotta make sure you got the gold. That's why I'm not going in the inn right now. I need 1 more gold piece there to pay the price, which is 10 gold.
So when you go into the inn, you have to pay before you can switch items.
Yeah, you pay 10 gold, he'll fill up your life and your magic, and give you a chance to equip new items if you want.
I see. So you can't just go in there and not choose to fill up your life and change items.
Right. Yeah, your only option is to either pay him or leave right when you hop in there.
Now I noticed like here, like all those white blocks, those just as soon as you touch them, they disappear. Or just certain ones do.
As soon as if you fall on them, they disappear. But if you're just walking straight across them, that's fine.
I see.
So if you hit them with any force, they're gone.
How odd.
It's a little weird, especially at first. It feels like you have to panic and just keep jumping until you realize you can just walk as soon as the first one's gone.
Yeah, and so, to keep jumping is probably the worst thing to do, right?
Exactly, yeah. Then you're just going to make the next block you hit disappear.
Now, it keeps looking like from time to time she keeps, like, doing a face plant.
Yeah, every character, they've got a jump stat, and if you fall from higher than your jump stat allows, you do a face plant and take a point of damage. And that's the same for every character. That's one of the only ways that your pet Pachi can take damage, is falling a lot.
So what happens if a character does?
You get the retry or continue option, and they both kind of suck. They don't put you back where you were or let you fight the same boss again if you died there. They put you back to home. And if you didn't get your passcode and picked up a few items in the dungeon, you didn't save any of the items when you continue a retry. You have to start back from the last passcode you got.
So, in other words, to save your progress, you have to make it back to the house.
Yeah, you want those codes if you want to know where to start next time. Keep all this stuff you found.
Well, I guess the good news is that you can't permanently lose a family member, though, right?
Right. Yeah. They're all necessary to finish the game, so that would have been quite cruel if they did that.
Yeah, but NES games are known for being pretty cruel.
Yeah, but that would have been especially cruel. Could you imagine playing this and killing off a family member shortly into the game, and then spending another 40 hours digging around to realize you had to restart?
Well, if memory serves, there are a few of these games that you can mess up, not be able to complete, but not know you've messed it up.
Yeah, thankfully they did do that here. So now I found a better place to grind for my gold here, because I won't keep taking damage and lose all my magic.
Right, but here I keep saying that since you are low on magic, that's what it keeps feeding you, right?
Exactly, yeah. And the really annoying thing about all this is I only need one gold pickup.
And obviously, since your magic and life are so low, it's tough to get.
Yeah. So as soon as I pick up enough of these magic, it might throw me a loaf of bread to fill up some life, and then it'll go to the gold. It kind of does them in that order. Like, magic seems to be the most important. Life it only gives you when you're under like 20 more hits, and then they resort to the gold.
And keys are just completely random, or is it like if all of those other things are doing pretty well, then you'll finally get keys?
No, keys even seem sparse if everything else is maxed out. I couldn't figure out how to increase the key drops.
Interesting. Hey, you just got some poison.
Yep. She's poison.
These enemies in this game are a little odd too, you know?
Yeah, those ones look like Buddhas there or something.
Yeah.
I got the manual here.
Like
Let's see if I can find. Those are hoagies.
Hoagies?
Yeah. And they look quite different in the manual than they do here.
Not surprising. And they've got really odd... A lot of these enemies in this game have like really odd attack patterns, don't they?
Some of them do, yeah. Especially the flying ones can be a little annoying because they're the most helpful to reach higher areas to jump on, but they also move very unnaturally, so it's hard to always time your jumps to get up high.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I always think, Falcom was really early in putting a lot of these things together, but if memory serves, weren't the Ys games the ones that started out where you didn't have an attack button, you would just ram into your enemies?
I couldn't tell you. It's been so long since I played one.
I'm pretty sure that's kind of how those work, and, Hide Light's that way, right?
Yeah, Hide Light is that way. I can speak for that one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I think ease is kind of the same idea. And I don't know why it took a lot of these developers so long to figure out that you should have a button to swing a sword or something.
Yeah, in Highlight you have to hold it in while you run into bad guys. If you let go, it's considered a defense instead of attack.
Yeah, and that just seems to me really strange, but I guess, well, probably until Zelda came along, that was not uncommon.
Didn't seem like it, yeah. Sidelight was a precursor to Zelda.
Yeah, and the Ys games.
So now I can use my pickaxe thing that I've got equipped there to knock out some specific types of blocks.
Are those the ones like the blue-colored ones?
Yeah, you can kind of see one there that's blue instead of gray.
Yeah.
Those ones I can knock out.
So do you have to hit a special button to do that?
Just like we were talking about, you gotta hold in that A button when you're touching it, yeah. I'm trying to figure it out there. There we go, I got it. That item there is the power shoes. That's one of the most helpful items in the whole game as far as avoiding damage and gathering gold.
So what do the power shoes do?
You can jump on an enemy, you can Super Mario them pretty much.
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
And it doesn't take any magic. So every bad guy you see, you just hop onto. You don't lose anything, so they'll drop gold all the time.
Downside being is that you can't use that permanently because sometimes you have to use them as a stepping stone.
Yeah, exactly. But every enemy in the game respawns. So if you accidentally kill them, you can either wait for them to respawn, or you can just leave the screen and come back and they'll be back.
I see. But those shoes aren't, I mean, if you have them equipped, or do they always kill things when you stomp on them, or do you have to, like, activate them?
Nope, they're always ready to go. You don't have to hold any buttons or anything, you just gotta step on them.
So that could be kind of a problem then if you were deep in the maze and then suddenly realized, oh wait, I've got to use that guy as a springboard.
Like I said, if you do it by accident, you just, all it means is you gotta wait a few seconds for them to respawn, like 20 seconds or something.
Gotcha. Now I see in your item, it looks like there's like a little cursor around your pickaxe.
Yes.
So you said you can carry up to 3 items. Can only one of them be active at a time?
That's right, yeah. You can either have one active or none. You can take the cursor right off of everything, have nothing equipped, or you can pick your favorite.
Oh, okay. So if you had the shoes and you go, you just take the shoes off, no problem.
Exactly, yeah. It's not as annoying as like running to an inn and unequipping them or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, you can take them on and off as needed.
Now what are you doing here?
I'm trying to figure out.
Waiting?
I'm trying to figure out how to lure this snake with me this way, because I need to use him to jump up to a ledge there.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't quite occur to me at the time that instead of luring him, having him chase me, I need to chase him in there. It'll dawn on me in a minute here.
Oh, he runs away from
Yeah,
you.
he seems to be the only enemy that goes the opposite direction when you're facing him. So it looks like he's trying to, that's why it tricks me at the start there. And then he runs off all of a sudden.
I see, alright. And obviously they've planted that kind of enemy there just for this same reason, right?
Yeah.
For you to figure that out.
Yeah, he's the only bad guy down there, and until you get the jumping shoes, there's no other way to make the jump over here.
So obviously you've gone through and played a lot of these games, and completed a lot of these games. How would you rate this one?
It's fantastic. It controls very well. There's a lot of depth to it with the different characters having abilities, and then the different items on top of that. Tons of different enemies. The dungeons are all varied enough that it's not boring and repetitive. Like, you'll never kind of feel like you're lost, like in Metroid, where all the backgrounds seem the same and stuff. You always know you're in a new area of the dungeon. The music's really, really good in a lot of different spots. It's great. I would definitely check it out to anyone who's even slightly interested in a dungeon crawler.
Very good, very good. Now, would you... I think, wasn't this game like originally supposedly like an RPG? Is that how they labeled this one?
I think so, yeah.
And to me, this is not an RPG.
Why not? Just because you
There's
don't
no
have
role.
new stats evolving, or what?
Yeah, there's no stats, there's no levels, and
There is stats. They're just not changeable. You don't grow with them, but each character has their own stats.
Sure, but I mean, there's no leveling up, there's no experience, there's no role playing.
Sure, yeah, the whole story is told in the manual, pretty much. Yeah, you don't get any extra goodies in the story from playing through the game, but I don't know. It seems like almost like a silent movie. Like you can kind of pick up what's going on just if you pay attention to what's going on throughout the game.
Yeah, very good game. I just don't know if I would call it, an RPG. To me, this is an action game.
Right.
Maybe a puzzle action game.
There's definitely a lot of puzzling, especially when you get to the father's area. There's a lot more puzzling than the rest of the characters.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
And why is that?
Because his move that he's got unique to him is the power glove. I think which was called manually.
So
just the gloves, yeah. And they let you move blocks instead of destroying them like I am with the pickaxe. I can push them around. So there's a lot of parts where there's all these blocks blocking your action, or you need to move them to certain spots in order to climb up to different areas. And it takes a lot of trial and error to figure out exactly where each block needs to go.
I was gonna say it would be much more entertaining if it was the power glove.
Yeah. There's another glove in here. I think it may actually be called that. Oh, it's the power knuckle, not the power glove.
I would say that Red McKnight then would be very pleased.
Yeah, I'd be impressed if he could play through this with that.
I think I would pay to see that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my goodness. So, alright. I see like you keep grabbing like a couple of items. So what are those last few things that you picked up?
The rod I picked up. That's for the mother to push blocks out of the way. And I think I picked up the gloves. Or no, those pick up with the dog later on. It might have been a crystal, which is the item you use to warp back to the house.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to figure out how to get back to the house right now. You see me bouncing around aimlessly. I think I'll go into the inn soon and switch it up.
So then, is that thing to go warp back to the house is like a one-time use?
Yes. Yeah. They seem to show up in shops more often than other items, though. So as long as you have the money for them, you can always find one.
I see. So really, they probably don't want you to have to trek all the way back.
Right, because that first shop there, just by our home, they've always got one in there. You need to pay 95 gold, so it's a lot of gold, but take a quick break here for the static.
Just to prove again that this is all
Legit.
That's right. Real hardware, because that's the way games should be played.
Absolutely. If your NES isn't starting up like that, then you're playing it wrong.
That's right, and don't blow on cartridges.
Nope, just get a new pin connector.
That's right, though. Or just fix your pin.
Yeah,
clean it.
Clean those contacts.
Take it apart.
Yep.
Still kind of drives me crazy when I see that.
Yeah, I'm guilty for doing a lot of that when I was younger, though.
Well, we didn't know any better back then. You didn't. Your friends told you that's what you had to do to make it work. It worked.
Seemed to, yeah.
You just didn't realize that,
I actually have one friend who his dad had ripped the top of the Nintendo off, and I don't know exactly what he did, but the carts in the toaster, he had it set up so it loaded like a top loader, and you never had to blow into his carts at his house.
Well, hey.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. So is he some sort of electronics engineer or something?
No, he was a tire salesman. Tires. Yeah, so I don't know what his electronics background was, but he's always
pure genius.
Yeah.
You know what I still don't understand is why, obviously, they, I guess before we go into that, in the game, you must be the Hachi thing you were talking about.
Yeah, Hachi, the family pet who's some kind of domesticated monster.
Because you're just walking right through the enemies.
Yeah, none of them bother you at all. You can still jump on their heads if you need to leap off them, but they don't hurt you. But you'll see me taking damage every time I jump up anything that's higher than 1 square.
Which is pretty much constant.
Yeah, right there. Yeah. If you've got enough life, it doesn't really matter. You can keep doing it. But it's kind of annoying. It slows you down.
So with the girl, you've been kind of busy getting all the items, so now you're actually going to go for a crown?
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, I've been gathering up. I got most of the mom's items. And a couple of the girls that she'll need to get her crown.
I see, so that kind of lays the groundwork so you can get to the other stuff later.
Exactly, yeah. So you'll notice that some of the treasure chests have bread, magic potions, or gold, just like an enemy would drop.
Right.
But if you grab them from a chest, they fill up 50 life, I believe, 50 magic. The gold fills up 50, but if you get a key, they're really cruel and only fills up 20. It's already the rarest item in the game, and then they don't help you out.
Well, they don't want you to just walk away with the game, right?
Yeah, so here it looks like a dead end. You find your first little secret passage there.
I see.
That one's not too hidden, too hard to figure out.
So do you have to shoot them, or do you just, when you touch them, they disappear?
The ones underneath you have to push down on them. But the rest of them you just kind of smash into and you'll knock through them.
Right. I guess kind of going back to what I was talking about a minute ago, I'm always surprised that, okay, there's a glove. I guess we can come back and talk about that in a minute.
That's for the father, yeah.
Why? I mean, you can get these replacement 72-pin connectors. Why do they still make them in the same old style? Why don't they just make them like a traditional cartridge slot and just, hey, once you install this, don't push down on your carts anymore?
I don't know. Never really thought about it. Maybe people just like their authentic experience.
Well, I don't know. You get one of those new 72-pin connectors and they're so tight you don't have to push down on it.
Yeah.
So I just don't know why they just don't avoid it all completely and just say, forget it, we're not doing this. Because obviously it's kind of a flawed design.
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't bother me. I like pushing the cart down. Feels nice. Feels natural.
Gotta use the top loader.
Yeah. No, I haven't been lucky enough to find one of those yet. One day.
I think you might know somebody that has one.
I might. Yeah. I just gotta pay that damn U.S. to Canada shipping.
Well, you'll be paying that for something else. So.
Yeah, that's true. Let's tuck an extra couple things in there.
Sure, yeah. Might even give you a bulk discount. So as you're going through this thing, so you're using just a map, or are you going through like a formal walkthrough?
I used a YouTube video. I kind of watched where the guy was going and mapped it out. And then I played through it once myself to get a feel for it, and then I played once through again, recording it, actually knowing what I was doing.
Okay, so you really didn't have to spend a ridiculous amount of time to figure this one out.
No, not like the last time I did. No. I spent a lot of hours just aimlessly wandering around, and then you get really excited because you find like the wings, and then you have no idea where to use them though, so you kind of put them on the back burner for another 5 hours until you figure out a spot that you need the wings at. Yeah.
But you're just happy you even got it, right?
Exactly, yeah. It's something new, you're progressing. Because every item in the game is useful, really. Except for maybe the rod, or the fire rod. Everything else is quite a joy to have in your inventory.
So why is the fire rod maybe? Is it just some type of weapon?
It increases the range on your weapon. So everyone's got their standard attack, just makes it attack a little further. Which, as nice as that is, it's not worth an inventory slot.
So do you ever actually use it?
No. I don't think I used the armor or the power knuckle in this game either. The power knuckle just increases your attack, makes you stronger, and the armor, I believe only the dad can use it, and it makes him like Pachi through certain types of enemies. You don't take damage.
I see.
Here's me trying to spam up the flying guy because there's a secret path way at the top there.
Huh. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see, they're not always very intuitive to find.
No, yeah. I mean, I can't imagine trying to do this just, at random.
Yeah. Well, there's actually an episode of Game Center CX where he plays through this. Like when he's having too much trouble, he's been playing for 5 hours and hasn't done anything, his little helpers will come in and give him some clues.
Right.
But he does a lot of it. It's pretty impressive.
Poor Reno.
Yep.
That man is he's got like the patience of a saint.
Yeah. I was watching it just recently, and there's parts where he fights the same boss, 7, 8, 9 times, and he's got to figure out how to get back to him every time after he dies, because when you continue, it takes you back to the start and you lose all your items.
Right.
Yeah, so he's never seems to lose his cool, keeps his patience.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, he's on TV, but
yeah,
let's be honest, no American would be that patient. Or I'm sure probably Canadian either.
Yeah, we're not as calm as we have a reputation to be. Especially this far north.
Yeah, well, you gotta do something to generate heat, I'm sure. So, have you ever looked at, like, a grand view of the entire map for this game?
I have, yeah. And it's very intimidating.
But do you ever notice, like, how they've made, like, pictures and things using the blocks?
Yeah, there's some of them, like, where I grabbed the glove earlier is a big fish, and there's a face in there somewhere, too. So I got my first crown here. This is the first boss fight. Every time you hit a crown, there's a different boss guarding it.
Interesting.
The cool thing about that is, no matter which character you get the crown with, and no matter which crown you get first, you always fight the same bosses in the same order. So if I have trouble with Pachi because he's got such short range on a certain boss, if I can figure out how to get there with a different character, I can still fight that same boss with a different character.
Huh. So, bosses will attack Pachi, though, and hurt him.
Yes. So here's another pause for some static.
Now, you notice when you see Pachi there, he looks totally different?
Yeah, he's white when he's around the house, and he's pink when you're actually running around the dungeon.
Yeah, why is that?
No clue. At the end of the game, the family all comes out, to say goodbye and thanks and whatever. And yeah, he's on the top of the house, and he does not look anything like he does in the game.
Of course not.
Very unusual.
Yeah, I'm looking at like this giant world map, and I see, like you're saying, like there's like this giant kind of, I don't know, evil looking face kind of thing.
Yeah.
And there's like a shark.
Yeah.
And a boat.
Didn't notice the boat.
Yeah, there's like almost kind of looks like an Egyptian barge.
I bet you they're kind of just like landmarks. You kind of get your bearings somewhere in the dungeon.
Yeah, I would think so, and I'm guessing whoever did the layout for the game probably just got sick of random junk and wanted to have some fun.
Absolutely.
Because it definitely looks that way. I mean, I'm sure he probably had a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
To make these things, so like making a giant face that you could never probably figure out it's a giant face unless you like had a master view of the whole thing.
Right. Yeah, those two kids that decided to map everything out.
That's right. So you?
I didn't, draw every block in every place, so I might not have figured most of those out.
I just can't imagine back then, how they got to, because they probably, they were very small teams of people that did this stuff.
Yep.
And so, people would have a lot of freedom to kind of, I'm just going to do this.
There's apparently even a doctor on the team that did this one.
A doctor?
Yeah, I was reading the credits and there's Dr. Key, so I don't know if that's some kind of weird nickname or what, but it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I wonder if it might be, because you always notice a lot of these games, they would always use nicknames for the programmers.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want the programmers to be identified, because they were afraid that another company would come and hire all their good programmers.
Oh, that's the reason why. I was never quite clear on that.
Yeah, that was the idea was, well, if other developers were to know who our good programmers were, they would come and steal them away from us. So all companies said, we're kind of like, well, we're just not going to do that.
So you'll notice I got those Mario shoes on now.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm just falling on bad guys, and it's very, very handy when going through the dungeon.
I noticed, though, that you can still hop on them when they're a bubble and jump off of them.
That's right. If you hop on top of the bubble, you'll still kill them. But as long as I don't hit it from the top, I'm coming up from the bottom, and we're fine. I forget to take them off here and kill the bad guy. Here's another really annoying jump.
Is it just the select button changes?
Select kind of pauses it, and then you can move the cursor around. And then as soon as you let go of any button, like you can't be pushing A or select or anything, then it'll unpause the game onto the new item that you've got. It's a little unintuitive at first, but it's not bad once you get used to it.
Yeah, I would imagine, because, you have, essentially, 3 real buttons to work with. Select A and B.
Yeah.
Because I'm guessing probably start is pause, right?
Yep. Start, it pulls up your inventory screen, and it looks like you should be able to change your items, but it won't actually let you. The same screen you see like when you leave the house or the inn. Yeah, but it won't actually let you walk around and pick new items like it will on those 2 screens.
Hmm.
So I just got the jump shoes at a shop. I just had to find an inn here to hook them. And now she can jump even further than she already could, and she was already the highest jumper in the game.
I see, they look kind of like little springs or something?
Yeah.
And you have to do that to be able to get to the spot for her crown, is that it?
Yeah, I should be getting to her crown very shortly here. And then we won't see much of the daughter after that. And we're done with Pachi too. That's the only part I use him for.
Bye-bye, poor Pachi.
Yeah.
So you have to have those springy shoes. Is it like a certain jump that only she can make with those shoes? Is that it?
There's a couple characters that can actually wear those jump shoes, and they all jump the same distance. So even though the daughter's wearing them, she doesn't jump higher than the son when he's wearing them.
I see. Okay.
They are
So
they are necessary to make a few jumps in the game, though.
it doesn't add anything to their existing jump. It just makes it a certain height.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, I'm sure if you had the patience and creativity, you could probably get away without them by using enemies in interesting ways, but I think that would take a long time and a lot of trial and error.
Well, you know what's interesting to me is that, this game came out after Legend of Zelda. So when you talk about things like having like the subscreen where it seems like you can change items but you can't,
Yeah.
You have to wonder why some of these games just didn't rip that stuff off more often. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if it was like a conscious design choice, or if they just didn't think of it, or what. Yeah.
Yeah, because that game did such an intuitive job of managing things I mean, given the limited amount of buttons you have to work with
Yeah.
in the NES.
Because even Zelda, I think's got several more items than this game does when you've got full inventories in both, and yeah, no problem managing them there.
Yeah, they did a really good job at that. So, but you know, I'm sure it's like anything else. They kind of want to do their own thing, and,
Yeah.
or whatever seems logical at the time to them.
Yeah, like I said, there's not many points in the game where you need more than 3, because each character is limited in what they can carry anyway. So there's only 3 that are really useful most of the time. There's just that a couple times when it'd be nice to have like an elixir or a crystal ball or something, just in case something bad happens and you want to race home.
So I saw like there a second ago you had to hit some invisible blocks to make spots where you could jump.
Yep.
Again, how would you know, right?
Yeah. I don't know, unless like if you're like me, I like to leap around when I play just naturally, so I stumble across things like that once in a while, but yeah, they're really weird.
Every time I think about just jumping at random, I think of the Elder Scrolls games. I don't know if you've played any of those, but
I've seen a lot of Oblivion. Other than that, I'm not too familiar with the series.
well, the earlier like Morrowind, especially I remember, is one of your skills you had in that was acrobatics. So the way the skill ups work in that game is, you know, the more you do something, the better you get at it.
Right.
And so to level up acrobatics, you could either jump a lot, or you could fall from like really big heights. And so, you know, to level those things up, you would basically, everywhere you went, you would constantly jump, no matter what you were doing, which looked kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the crown.
So this one, I think, is one of the harder boss fights, just because the daughter's got a very weak attack.
I think it's kind of cool how it like warps you into the zone, you know, with that's kind of a neat effect.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, I was wrong. This one isn't the hard one. It's the mother's. That one's really hard. That was Erebone, according to the manual. It's kind of wraith. Or lich even, I don't know.
It looked kind of like that, yeah. What I was saying about these, like Morrowind stuff, so you would also kind of, which reminds me of this faceplant, you would try to go to like the highest place you possibly could and jump off and land, and you would try to do whatever you could, like the highest jump possible without killing yourself. So you could kind of quickly skill up.
Right.
And it's just a wacky mechanic, and I can understand why they ditched it in later games, because it was just, who would do this? You know what I mean?
That's funny though.
Yeah, I mean, it's not logical that I would get better at jumping by falling from a ridiculous height and breaking my legs or whatever, but not really dying.
Right. I don't know. You think in the era that game was made, they would have got past stuff like that, but you still see goofy things every now and then.
Oh, plenty. There's still always design decisions that just really make you go, how did you not get this?
Yeah, don't you have testers?
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, like that little pet peeve thread. Have you read kind of through that one?
No, I remember it from a long time ago before the forums got wiped, but I haven't. Did someone restart it now?
Yes. Well, I think they just, I don't know if it's restarted or just started tacking on again.
Right.
Because a lot of those threads kind of got necro-posted.
Yeah.
Because they, you know, they were new to everybody at the time.
Yeah.
And I guess we should say, have we mentioned in the videos before, when we talk about posting things, what site we're talking about?
I'm not sure we've made it very clear. Yeah, we're usually talking about RF generation. Almost always, yeah.
Yeah, so if you guys ever want to go to a good community or commiserate with Crabmaster, myself, and others who are like-minded. rfgeneration.com is a great community, good place to go.
And awesome collection tools to track your game stuff.
Absolutely.
Games, hardware, accessories, and if they don't have it, all it takes is a minute or two to add it yourself, and it'll be in the database.
That's right, and you can upload images, including like screen grabs and things for the games.
Yep.
And that way, it's kind of a user-driven database.
Yeah. Any input you can think of: UPCs, release dates, Easter eggs. Yeah.
So we'd encourage you folks to go over and take a look. And I know, for example, Krabby, you are, by doing all these, going to end up with a whole lot of screen grabs that you can upload.
Yes, sir. Someone beat me to a whole bunch of them, I noticed, but I do have a lot of the late game ones that I know they'll be missing, so I can add ending screens and final bosses and stuff like that.
That's right. So some probably the trickier to find games.
No, you'd be surprised. There's quite a few shots for like Flintstone Surprise of Dinosaur Peak, and yeah, someone's got a title screen for stadium events in there. Wow. Yeah.
Well, maybe at some time someone will be able to add some action shots or an ending shot for that one.
Exactly. I'll work
but
on that.
Definitely. I would say definitely, folks, if you're interested, we've had a few people kind of coming around. I know I've seen a few people kind of from some other spots kind of show up lately, which is good.
Very good, yeah. Especially, it's been a little slow after we had the hacking incident in February, so it's nice to see the community start to move again.
Yeah, very good. So I noticed you're back to the girl again.
Doing some more grinding for some gold.
Oh, okay, that's what this is.
Yeah, she's really easy to move around because of her jump, and she can equip those jump boots, so it's a quick way to grab golden keys.
And I see, yeah, since you don't have to worry about magic now because you can just stomp on everybody.
Yeah, then that means more gold drops, yeah.
Right. And you're getting all this gold because you need to buy more items?
Yeah, probably one item. A lot of them cost $95, and you can hold, 110 max, I think? So I need almost a full gold meter to buy them quite often.
And I think it's kind of interesting in this game how it represents amounts that with like this, gauge.
Yeah.
Instead of numbers.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, any other game would just tell you numerically how many keys you had.
1 rupee, 2 rupees, yeah.
But I guess maybe that wouldn't... Maybe if you actually saw a thing that said you had 99 keys or something, you would go, why in God's name do I need 99 keys?
Yeah, maybe it was a psychological thing.
Maybe, I don't know. Or maybe they were just like, look, we've already got the code for a life meter and a magic meter, just use the same thing for keys and gold. Why recode something, right?
Fair enough, yeah. So I don't know if I've explained all the items that the bad guys drop either.
Okay, yeah, go for
yeah, we've seen the gold and the keys, the magic potions. Haven't seen a lot of bread because it only shows up when you're low on health. But bread is your health item. Once in a while they'll drop a ring. The ring gives you limited invincibility. Run through bad guys. Unfortunately, when you move to a new screen, it doesn't carry over. But it lasts for a good 20 seconds as long as you stay in the same screen. So it can be handy for doing these mining things too. And also they draw crosses once in a while, which wipes out everybody in that screen.
Thanks to, like, good old Castlevania.
Yeah,
same idea, right?
Exactly the same idea, yeah. And the last one you don't see very often either is the scrolls.
Yeah, I've seen some of those. What's that one do?
They increase your speed. They make you really fast, and you can actually stack them. So if you can find another one before yours wears off, then you get even faster than just the one scroll. So, and like you can stack 3 or 4 of them. I think you can get pretty fast when you grab a few of them. But unfortunately, it's really hard to make jumps when you go too fast. So it's nice to have 1, but when you get 2 and 3, little frustrating sometimes.
So, is it? Can you use it like you would, like in Super Mario Brothers, to make longer jumps that you can't make when you're at normal speed?
Exactly, yeah. You can make some pretty impressive leaps. Like there was a part right before her crown where you saw me fall down a few times because of an annoying jump I had to make. If I had a scroll there, it would have been a piece of cake.
And unfortunately, of course, those drop very rarely.
Yeah, they don't show up very much. You can find them in treasure chests too. Like when I said you find the bread and the potion, they give you like 50 points. You find the scroll, it counts as getting 2 scrolls, makes you twice as fast as 1 scroll. And I don't know if it lasts longer or not, but makes you quite speedy.
But you can't carry any of them and use them as items.
No, you just pick them up and you use them that instant. They wear off when they wear off, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Interesting. So, you've moved a little bit. Are you done kind of?
Yeah, my gold meter is
You've got
full
plenty
now,
of gold.
so I'm heading back to swap characters, I believe.
And you must not be far away, so it's like, I'll just climb instead of using the item. Right?
Exactly, yeah, I don't want to have to grind for another, 95 to get another crystal. Oh, apparently I'm not going home, I'm going to buy an item maybe. So I've got the crystal in my inventory, so I'm assuming that means I'm planning to use it.
I see. You don't ever carry it around just as a just in case kind of thing?
Not really, no, because like I said, I watch a video walkthrough and then I do a walkthrough myself, so I kind of know where I'm going if I'm going to need it or not. So I probably have it because I'm going somewhere far away or somewhere that's just hard to get back to the start.
Makes sense. Or just plain time reasons, I'm sure, right?
No, I don't think so. I think it's mostly like after you go down this part, you fall down 2 screens and you just can't get back up to the top very easily.
Ah.
Right here, yeah, right when you fall down here, it's quite the pain to try and get back up.
Oh yeah, that's a big drop too.
Yeah. There's a secret shop over here, I think that's where I'm going. Yeah. I'm buying the magic key. This
All right.
lets you open doors. Instead of spending a key, you can spend a magic point.
Ah.
And there's a part with the mother when you're going to get her crown, where if you took keys to do it, you'd literally need about 90 keys to do it. Not an exaggeration. And
so they.
Yeah, you'll see. I haven't spent a whole lot of keys in this game, and I've got 24 right now. If I wanted to grind up to 90, like you'd be watching a 7-hour-long video, I'm sure.
Right. So they've made it possible, but not reasonable.
The magic key is good because they give you a lot of ins, so you can drain your magic using these keys and not have to really worry about getting stuck because you can just refill your magic at the next inn.
Now I see the dragon there. Is this where you come to actually fight and kill him?
Right, we haven't really explained the story of the game at all. But yes, that is a picture of the dragon. And that dragon was apparently cast into this picture years ago by a great wizard who your grandmother eventually tells you was your grandfather. He captured this dragon and stuck it in a painting so it wasn't going to torture the land anymore. And your pet Pachi is running around in the dungeon one day and comes back with a scale. And so Grandma and Grandpa get scared this dragon's going to get revived again. And your dad knows about this Dragon Slayer sword. So that's pretty much the whole story of the game. You're trying to find a way to get this Dragon Slayer sword so you can kill this dragon before it revives on its own.
Hence the name of the Japanese series, Dragon Slayer.
Dragon, so yeah. And actually the name of the family is Draysel, which is just a play on Dragon Slayer, just combining the letters from both the words.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So, obviously this story doesn't really hold any logical water, because if he's already trapped in the pain, why on earth would you bother to risk your life to go down and kill him?
It's because the dog found the scale from the dragon. So they're assuming that means the dragon's breaking free. Piece
I see
piece
that.
of them's gotten out.
But right now, they're there. She could just look and go, oh, nope, painting's still there.
Yeah, you'd think you could, if it's a painting, you could just burn it or something too, but I don't know. Apparently, Grandpa wasn't a very good wizard.
And I would say, obviously, there's probably no way to get in there where those guys are running back and forth either.
No. Just to the left, between those two columns, right now where I am,
Yes.
that's the entrance to him once you got the Dragon Slayer sword.
Ah. So you actually, like, go into the painting?
Yeah, you run right into that spot, and as long as you've got that sword equipped, it'll automatically take you into the fight.
Oh, okay, alright. So do you then actually use that like a weapon, or is it just an item in your inventory?
I think it's just an item in the inventory, because when you get in there, you fight him with just the brother's standard swords that he uses. They don't seem any different than when you use them to fight anybody else.
That's a little disappointing then, isn't it?
Yeah. So this part here, if you jump up, you can actually switch that into a shop, which is kind of a trick. And then that's the only place you can buy the shield. There's no treasure chest apparently for the shield in the game at all.
And again, you know, you would know this because
I searched online, yeah. People that are
yeah, but I mean,
reading forums, people have been playing this game for much longer than I have and exploring it, and nobody's been able to find the shield anywhere.
yeah, I mean, you know, 1987. We're talking here.
Yeah.
There's no, I'm just gonna go look up a fact. Yeah, you know, all it was I'm gonna call the Nintendo Power Helpline.
I remember those guys. I used to call them once in a while.
Oh yeah.
Tell Mom and Dad got a little upset with the phone bill one time.
And do you remember? I don't know if they had it in Canada, but when I was younger, they had like this monthly, like pre-recorded tip thing where you could call in, and it was like $2 or something, and you could listen, and they would tell you all about the new stuff that was coming out. They would give you secret codes. They would give you, you know, just all this information about games and stuff.
I don't know if that was in Canada at all. I was unaware of it.
Yeah, I remember, and I forever, if anyone by any stroke of magic that's watching this video knows what I'm talking about and has any of these recordings, I've been looking on the internet forever to see, you know, does anybody have any of these somewhere? Because I think it would be really kind of fun to go back and listen to them.
Absolutely, that'd be cool. No, you just reminded me there when we were talking about that first time I played through this, I noticed in one of my old Nintendo Powers that they have a little map to help out. I've got the issue pulled out here. I'm just trying to find the map inside here.
So what issue is that?
It is issue number, let me put the numbers in. It's 28, volume 28, the one with Super Mario World on the cover.
Okay, so wow, this is all the way into the beginning of the Super Nintendo.
You betcha, yeah. I know there's a map in here. Just gotta find the page now.
So maybe the counselors were sick and tired of getting calls. And we're like, look, I know the Super Nintendo's coming out, but man, just put a map of this thing in.
Here we go, yeah, page 85. Which characters do I use to reach the crown in Counselor's Corner? And they've got every area of the dungeon kind of gridded off into just a black and white grid. And then they've color-coded the different areas. So there's a pink area for the girl, there's a purple area for mom, orange one for the dad, and a brown one, or a green one for the dog. And it's got a little, looks like a kid scribbled in an arrow, go this way to a crown.
Wow.
But it was a lot more helpful than nothing when I was doing this for the first time.
Yeah, and you know, for anybody that's a little younger maybe and watching some of these things, I just can't describe how different gaming is when all you have to do is just take 2 seconds and Google something.
Yeah.
I mean, there was nothing like that.
I did not beat Hydelide until my adult life because of that. Yeah, I played it way more as a kid, but it just seemed so hopeless at the time.
Yeah, I mean, you prayed that Nintendo Power would give you some sort of something to help you.
Yeah, they'd read your letter and respond to it finally, or whatever the deal was, yeah.
Yeah.
Or your new friend would move in down the block and he would have beaten it somewhere and or figured out something you didn't.
Yeah, or friends on the playground would come up with these stories, and half the time they were garbage. They were just, somebody had said something, and I'd heard something, and
yeah,
I
remember those secret characters in Mortal Kombat and purple Zelda tunics and Ocarina of Time, and yeah,
and then some of it was legit, and some of it was garbage, and you would go home and try it because, I mean, that's the only way you could try to find out.
We spent a long time looking for Luigi in Super Mario 64.
But Yoshi was in that, right? Top of the castle?
Yeah, if you got all the stars, Yoshi was there. And then there was, I forget what exactly we were told we had to do, something ridiculous to get Luigi to appear up there with him. So we'd spent days and days and days searching for him.
That's funny. But, I guess you had a lot of fun back then, and you just...
Absolutely, yeah, you'd explore games because you weren't quite sure if they were true or not. Now you can just go look them up really quick, and I don't need to spend any time looking for that, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, so I think in some cases, GameFAQs is great, and in some cases, it almost kind of kills some of the feeling.
I can see that.
I guess you don't have that. As a kid, when I would go through Metroid and you would discover a new area, that was like amazing,
Big deal, yeah.
And I can't imagine that anybody feels that anymore. And maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I know when I play new games for the first time through, I never look up anything. I always make it a point that I'm not allowed to use a FAQ or walk through until I've beaten it on my own. And then after that, I can look through for whatever cool crap I want to find afterwards, but I gotta make sure I at least do it once by myself. To try and get as close to that feeling as when I was playing new games as a kid as I can. It's still not quite the same, but I think it's a good substitute for my age now anyway.
Yeah, I can feel something like that's when I plug a Famicom game in and I don't understand the language. So, I've got to try to just hack at it for a little while. And honestly, a lot of those games, they do have facts that are out there, but it's that same kind of feeling I get that, let me just see what happens when I do this.
Yeah, like not too long ago I played through Section Z, and I mapped every single time I went through a end of a stage. I would write down where it was taking me to and where I'd just been. I had, my 4 pieces of lined paper with all my scribbles on it at the end where secret items were and stuff, and it was a blast. I had a lot of fun doing that. It's not something I'm not going to go play Deadly Towers right away because I don't want to map out every game I play, but it was fun at the time.
I have no clue how I ever beat Deadly Towers as a kid. I have no clue how I did that. But I had the Polaroid of the end screen.
Really?
Yeah, I beat it when I was a kid. And I remember because I took a Polaroid because I was going to send it into Nintendo Power or whatever.
Yeah, I remember
that.
I
didn't. I never got around to it. But
yeah, they used to have like a scoreboard, all these names and where you were from, had beaten this game or gotten this high score.
Yeah, and to get your name in Nintendo Power was like, wow,
One of my stepbrothers, he had same thing. He took a Polaroid of, I think it was Tron, he said, for his Intellivision, because they had some sort of contest. Mail in your final screen, and they send you an Intellivision T-shirt. And
that was, that sort of stuff was really big.
Yeah, so he did that and sent it in, and apparently he missed the deadline, and they told him, we don't do that anymore. So he was telling me this story last time he was here, so I want to try and find him in a television shirt and send it to him, because he said he's still got the Polaroid in his photo album somewhere at home. So disappointed he didn't get this shirt, so I want to try and find him in television shirt and send it his way.
Well, I would have no doubt that you would not be able to do that because Intellivision, that company is still around. It's Keith Robinson,
Mm-hmm.
one of the original Intellivision programmers, owns the rights to all that, and they still put out Intellivision compilations and things. It's Intellivision Lives.
Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah.
I think it's just that.com. And yes, absolutely.
Do they sell t-shirts?
And there's some t-shirts.
Beautiful.
You can pick up a couple different ones, $18 US.
Not bad.
So yeah, I remember because with Atari 2600, Activision had a lot of those games where if you could, meet certain requirements, you could send in a picture of it, and they would send you like a patch.
So you could get one of those like scout sashes and put all your Atari badges on it instead of your scouting badges.
I think you probably would get the crap beat out of you.
Can't tie a knot or start a fire, but I got X amount of points on Defender.
No, seriously, that was always like, you'd want to get like the Pitfall patch or the River Raid patch,
That would be sweet. I wonder if there's probably some guys on Atari Age that have a whole bunch of them. I wonder if anyone's got like a complete set of those.
Oh, I would have no doubt.
That would be very interesting.
And I'm sure someplace probably even sells reproductions of those things.
Yeah.
Now, but yeah, that was, that kind of stuff was really cool then.
Absolutely.
But I mean, I know you're a little younger than me, and we won't go too far into that, but I was around for the Crash, and it was kind of crazy for them because you would really have...
Do you want me to tell you where I was for the Crash?
Did you exist?
Not quite.
Then no. I don't want you to tell me that. But it was crazy because you would, and I mean, obviously, I think people know now, and you might laugh and go, oh, Chase the Chuck Wagon game was put out by Purina, but yeah. I mean, that was it. You would, every company, it seemed like on the planet was making an Atari game.
Yeah.
And it was really kind of strange, but I was still fairly young, when the crash happened. So to me, I didn't understand why. I still wanted to play video games.
Yeah.
And you could, I mean, but you would go out and people were selling Atari games for $1. Just tons of them in bins.
Must have been good times for collectors, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was like, okay, video games are over. Let's just liquidate all this junk. And I would just remember going into stores and you would just see piles of Atari 2600 games for, $1.
I wish.
I don't know, but they were probably all ETs and Pac-Man. But...
who cares? $1's a dollar. Pay that for any game, pretty much. So I'm playing with the mum now. Switched into a new character.
Yeah.
Right now she's got her magic key equipped. This one I was telling you about where I can open doors using magic instead of relying on my key inventory, which is always very small.
So you're moving to that crazy place.
What was that?
I said, so you're moving on to that crazy place you were mentioning where you would have to have used like 1,000,000 keys.
Yeah, you would need a full key inventory. It's
because all these doors you're
ridiculous.
Going through.
Yeah, there's
keys,
spots
right?
where, like you see that top row where there's like 4 or 5 doors.
Yes.
There's parts where that whole top row, every single square is a door, and you have to walk through them. It's probably like 20 keys just to get through that one area.
And they're trying to send you a message that way, right?
I think so, yeah. Hey. You find something to deal with this, because keys aren't going to cut it.
Now, in the instruction book, does it explain there is an item that you can get that lets you do that?
Yes. All the items that you can find there's a picture of them in the instruction book and a little description of what they're there for.
So if you own the game, you would know, don't try to kill yourself and get 99 keys.
You could, yeah. Your key stick allows you to open doors without keys, it says. Yeah.
And obviously, if you rented this, then too bad. You should have bought it.
Too bad. Yeah, this is a game you definitely don't want to rent.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I did a lot when I was a kid.
Me too. Not these type of games, but we never bought much.
I would, just didn't have a lot of money, you know what I mean? So you would...
the same way. There was this place, though, that had a gumball machine there that we'd rent at, and if you got the black gumball, you got it for rental. And it seemed like I got it for rental every time we went in there.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And was it like limited?
Sorry, limited to like you can only win X amount of times in a row?
No, like as in there's only certain games you can get if you get the thing.
Well, at the time, I was renting Nintendo games. Sega and Super Nintendo were already out, so they might have had restrictions on those, but they didn't apply to me anyway because I didn't have the systems.
So when you say Sega, you mean Genesis?
Genesis, yes. Yeah, Genesis and Super Nintendo were already out and big, and I was still renting Nintendo games, so I got my gumball. I'd be going back for Karnov instead of, Final Fantasy III.
I owned Karnov back then. I really like Karnov.
I used to rent the crap out of that because, I had a dinosaur on the cover. Loved dinosaurs at the time.
I really enjoyed Karnov. I thought it was a good, for all the crap it gets, I thought it was a good game.
Yeah, I remember Slacker mentioning it on their podcast when I was talking to him, that I was kind of in the same boat as him. Like, I used to play it and loved it, and I didn't realize it was a crappy game until I went on the internet, 15 years later.
Yeah, but I still don't think it's a crappy game.
That's what I mean, though. I enjoyed it. I still enjoy it, but, it's just got this reputation that you shouldn't. So here's one of those spots with, 10 doors in a row.
Oh, yeah, I see.
My magic is already getting pretty low.
But thankfully the game knows that and will juice you up, right?
Yeah, there's a fair amount of inns in this place, so I just made sure I had enough gold to get through here safely. There'd be nothing worse than not being able to pay for your inn, having no magic left. So you couldn't even kill a bad guy for the items.
So if you get down to 0 magic, the game won't, give you any?
No, if you got the, jump shoes, you can kill a guy that way, but I can't think of any other way that you'd be able to keep going.
I see, so you can get yourself into a failure situation there by running out of magic.
Yes, and there was a really funny spot to watching Areno do the Game Center playthrough, where he starts off with the dad, and he uses an enemy to jump into a spot that he's not supposed to. So he's almost right at the start of the game, he's stuck in a spot that he can't move out of.
And probably wailing that it's really not fair that's happening.
Yeah.
I can see, I think the patience that you have with these games, you could be the North American Kacha.
Are you still there?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I heard you can be the, and then that was the last word I heard.
Oh, I said with all the patience you have, I think you could possibly be the North American Kacha.
I don't think I'm quite as amusing as he is, though.
I don't know.
My trusty AD Duke.Togo.
I'm fine with that. Although I probably wouldn't be as helpful, but
Well,
we could just slap those cooling pads or whatever.
Oh yeah, it's like badass. I was gonna say, lots of those ADs don't seem helpful at times too. Like in the Legacy of the Wizard episode, there's one guy who tells him this jump he's trying to do is impossible, and he'd be better off dying and continuing back from the start. And Reno just keeps trying it anyway, like another dozen times, and he makes the jump eventually.
and is he like, yeah, I showed you? But
Yep. Yeah, he rubs it in.
I need to go back and check some more of those out. I was kind of keeping up with it as those were on the front page, but then that just sort of died off.
Yeah, me too. I haven't really watched them since then. I watched the Legacy of the Wizard one just because I thought it was cool we were doing this commentary, and I didn't know he'd done that video, so I thought I'd check it out.
Yeah, and I guess in that case, he's it's nice and short and edited.
Well, the video was still an hour long.
Yeah, but I mean, if you okay.
Yeah, but they said like the first day was like 12 hours of play, and then and then he went into another day after that. Yeah.
I like the one where he plays through at Atlantis no Nazo or.
Oh yeah.
I've got that game, and it is ungodly brutal. I mean, really. And to see him get as far and to actually beat the thing, I can't even imagine. I just really have no clue. I just couldn't do it. I mean, I guess I could do it if I had to for my life or something. It's really wow. I would be interested in maybe someday if you get around to it to see you actually play through some of those.
I'll eventually get to the Famicom stuff. I just got so much NES stuff to go through first that it'll be a while.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't know. Have you tackled many really broken games yet?
Not that I can think of. Like a few annoying things, but nothing that's called broken.
I don't.
Like I said, I've been mostly sticking to the licensed stuff, so I'm sure there's a lot less of it there than if I was going through the unlicensed library.
Sure, yeah. Like that would be a video to actually beat the Action 52 game. I don't even know if that's possible.
I don't know. I haven't looked too much into it.
It's from what I've seen, some of them seem to be. I don't know if they're literally possible to be. Well, I know the Cheetah Man 2, unless you do some kind of really weird, wacky glitch, you can't get to the end.
Right, I've heard that.
Yeah. So, I would imagine probably Action 52 is just as bad.
Yeah. I don't even want to think about that.
Yeah, and I had never played Maxi 15, and I picked that up a little bit ago.
Mm-hmm.
And Maxi 15 is just a collection of a lot of the other unlicensed games I've already got. It's just a multi-cart. I'm like, really? Okay, it's just the same stuff I already had.
Very nice. It's always nice to pick up something you've already got. Pay a few bucks for it.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, I just paid for a multi-cart, basically. Yeah. I can see how that was probably appealing at the time for, like, video rental stores or something. But...
Sure. Well, yeah, anyone just pay $60, to get 15 games rather than pay $60 for one.
Well, I think the thing was with, like, a lot of those, like the AVE. Oh, here you go with the crown and the battle, right? I guess we'll...
Boss number 3.
We'll look at this. Let's see this for a minute before we...
Yeah, this one I had the most trouble with. Took a few attempts to get a good recording where I didn't die. And if I remember right, it's pretty close to... I've got like one hit left at the end. So I'm trying to sneak attack him from the top, and it doesn't seem to be working, so I have to run and hide in the corner. We've got a nice little area carved out for you to hide in there.
I see. Almost kind of like telling you, hey, this is where you belong.
Yeah, and like if you look close to his life meter, I've taken off one hit. Oh, there's a few more there. I really haven't done anything to it yet.
And I see one of the items you have is kind of like medicine, right?
Yeah, and that will revive me if I die, and I think it fills up both my life and my magic, which it just killed me, so it's a good thing I have it.
Yeah. And the shield lets you take less damage? Is that what that is?
Yeah, I think it only works on bosses, and it reflects some colors of the bullets they shoot you. Like they shoot blue, red, and green ones. And I think it reflects certain kinds of them. You still take damage from like the red ones, but the blue and the green don't hurt you as much.
Very good.
Yeah, so there's 3 of the 5 bosses down now.
So Mama is finished?
Yeah, I don't think we need her again. We just have Dad and the son now.
I see. So,
And Daddy is, like I said, the most puzzling, so he's a little annoying at times.
but the strongest, right?
He's got the strongest attack, yeah. He can't jump much higher than the dog, and his range is pretty low too, but you'll see when I get to the boss, the boss is done in like a couple seconds. Like the first two, he's really quick because the dad's so strong on him. Just getting there. Slow. Painful.
Of course, right?
Yeah, lots of block moving.
I'm interested to see that.
It's almost like a vertical version of Adventures of Lolo. You push the blocks all over to solve the puzzles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta do lots of block pushing to keep moving on.
Have you played through the Lolo games yet?
Yeah, I have. The first two I grew up with. I love those games. The third one's really, really, really hard compared to the first two, though. But I have finished them all.
Is it just strange to me that that series just totally died off after that?
Yeah, it disappeared into obscurity, and I thought it was quite good.
Yeah, I was kind of like, wow. I was surprised that there was never a Super Nintendo version or anything.
Yeah, he gets his little cameos in the Kirby games, and that's about it.
Yeah, really strange.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't sell as well as I thought they did.
Sold enough to make 3 of them. You'd think that was good enough.
I mean, they obviously must have sold fairly well to have made 3 of them.
Yeah. And the quality seemed to keep going up from game to game. The third one was like really long compared to the first two. Like, it was intense, and you had 2 different characters, and they split them all into levels, so you didn't just go up the one tower and not have any choice of where you were going next. It did a few interesting things.
So I kind of saw a minute ago, like what you were mentioning, because the same kind of block that before you had to use the like the pickaxe to get through, now you could move them instead, right?
Right. Yeah, there's 3 different ways to deal with those blocks. There's the pickaxe that the daughter can wield. There's the rod that the mom can wield, and that throws them back and forth really quick. And then the dad's glove, where he can push it one space at a time. He can move it diagonally too, if he's jumping at it, which you'll see a little more of later on when there's like pits I have to travel over. You'll have to move the block to certain spots so you can jump on them and make it over the pits. There's this really annoying mechanic you have to use where you jump and land on a block, and as you land on it, the block moves left or right, whichever direction you're walking. So as soon as you land on this one spot, you have to walk with it and stop with it to make sure you don't die.
Whoa!
Like that, like he just did there, except I fell down.
Yeah.
You have to do that over some pits later on.
So you're literally like walking behind that same block.
Yeah.
Kind of pushing it as you go.
Exactly.
That's great.
Yeah. This was one of my favorite parts to watch on the Game Center video, watching Reno do the blocks with the father.
Trying to figure what to push.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like the I'm trying to think of what the Japanese version of the same kind of like it's Boxel and all of those. It's, you know what I'm talking about, right?
No, I'm not familiar with that.
They're a puzzle series that started like way back here, and they had versions that came to the US too. But it's where you'll have like a really small screen, and there are boxes, and you can push the boxes, but you cannot pull the boxes, and you have to put them into certain locations on the screen, and then that clears that level, and you move on to the next one.
Sounds frustrating already.
Yeah, it's a puzzler, but that's kind of what this is reminding me of, because if you don't push it the right way, like you
See
can't
right there,
pull
yeah, I screwed up.
right?
So I've got to go back out and find a spot to reset the blocks at.
Right, and that's kind of the idea of those is, there's only a certain way to do it, and if you don't push them the right way, you're done.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember what. It started out as a Japanese game that was kind of started the whole thing, and then lots of things have kind of taken that same tack. Boy, this looks awful.
Just wait, this is the first one. There's several more. This is the easy one.
If you say so.
Yeah. They put this really annoying one right in front of the crown, too.
Of course they do. The odd thing to me, too, is that this, was like a Broderbund. Broderbund was the publisher here.
Yeah.
Broderbund didn't do anything on the NES themselves, right? They were really just a computer software company.
I don't know. Like I've mentioned in the past before, I didn't really follow companies too much, so I'm not sure what their involvement was.
Well, I know Broderbund had been like a big software for like personal computers. So, they made like the print shop and things like that for like Apple II. And they've made some games like Lode Runner.
I like that one.
Lode Runner's theirs. And Lode Runner was really big in Japan.
Lode Runner.
But I don't think they actually published that in Japan. But like this game, even though Falcom made it, I think Falcom put out the MSX version. Namco did the Famicom one, and then we had Broderbund in the US.
All over the place.
Yeah, really.
So this is where I kind of learned that sometimes you have to unequip the glove so that you can jump onto blocks without moving them accidentally.
I remember taking off the shoes at other points, right?
Exactly, yeah. And then,
so if you had to have gone through this completely on your own, how many hours do you think it would have taken you?
I think probably as long as it would take to do most role-playing games, like probably 40 to 50 hours.
You think? Really?
Yeah. And that's assuming I'm drawing a map while I go. Without a map, I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah, no, I can't even.
Yeah, because some of these secret passages that you fall down by accident, good luck finding them again if you didn't mark it down on your map.
Right, and some games are pretty reasonable to map.
Yeah.
This one would be extremely difficult.
Yeah, it's not like you can just chart it out on a grid paper really simply, because every area's got little nuances to it you gotta mark down.
Yeah, they're not Zelda dungeons.
No.
I think, and I can probably see how, if I was Falcom and I'm making this and originally designing it as a computer game, it probably makes more sense because then, you can save your game whenever you want.
Right. I never thought of that.
I don't know if somebody would have set off and said, I'm going to design a console game like this. Obviously, it just being popular, and then we're just going to port it. That kind of looks like the Eggplant Wizard a little bit, sort of.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, and you fall through.
Yeah, it's secret pit. Not a nice one.
Now you're in the
There's a
evil mouth.
If you'll notice, though, I'm not taking damage walking on the spikes.
Yeah.
There's a trick. If you hold the up button, your character pretends like he's climbing up something, and the spikes don't hurt him.
So
I should be getting just hammered with damage right now, but...
So do you think that's an intentional
I
feature, or do you think it's a bug?
I don't know. It looks a little odd when you do it. It's hard to tell, but he kind of shivers back and forth. So it doesn't quite look natural, like they designed it to do that. So I'd say probably a glitch.
Interesting.
Plus they put bad guys down there, which I'm assuming you're supposed to use them to try not to take as much damage.
So really they could have... The intention probably was this game to be much, much harder than it actually even already is.
Yeah, I think so.
But I guess that's the thing, you know, back then, if you wanted longevity, if you wanted, you know, for a game to last for a while, your only choice was just to make it incredibly difficult.
Yeah. And make them start from the start a lot, too.
Yeah. Well, I guess being the big difference then, I mean, you know, with computers at the time, yeah, you would just save your game. And, I mean, if you think about that, as far as home games go, before Zelda, that was really unheard of.
Yeah, most of them are just the NES ones anyway. They're passcode saves for them.
Yeah, which is interesting enough, because then, you know, of course, they had the disc system in Japan.
We were stuck with our passwords over here. I don't mind passwords in some games. This game, they're so long and unwieldy, like, it's just annoying. Here I fell into the same pit again.
And it looks like it's really hard to get out of. I mean, I guess probably hence the vicious smile.
Yeah, I did not pick up on that.
But,
that was
you know,
nasty.
Yeah, I was reading something the other day, and they show if you take Metroid apart and look at the board.
Yeah.
The board actually has a spot on it already for a battery.
They just never got to adding it.
Yeah, so you have to wonder at some point in time if they had really intended that to be a battery save game, and then just, for whatever reason at the last minute, just went, you know, let's just not do it. Because, I mean, you can look at the board, it still has the spot for it.
My son's here to join us now.
He wants to see the ancient fun. Is that it?
No, he wants to get in on it. He's gonna go grab a game and start playing some Super Nintendo or something here, I think.
That's always a good plan.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to get him to play any of these old games?
Absolutely, yeah. He loves the first 3 Mario games. Mega Man, he enjoys for a little bit, but then it's a little too hard for him, so he kind of gets frustrated with that one pretty quick. But yeah, he loves platformers.
Very good. So, were you just going into that shop just kind of like, okay, let me see what I can grab real quick?
Yeah, seeing if there's anything I didn't have yet. Because like I said, if you don't have to wander around a dungeon to find the item, it's very helpful.
So you're kind of digging yourself down now, trying to get to where that crown is?
Yep, that's all I'm going for with Dad. Pretty much all the items that I need have been collected already, except for that dragon sword. So I'm just getting crowns to find the sword. This still isn't quite the most annoying puzzle in the game, but we're getting close now.
I can kind of see here, so you're trying to get yourself over where you can... Yeah, there.
Yeah. And jumping off ladders is surprisingly difficult.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is that was kind of one of the kind of spots that I was talking about that Areno's buddy told him to just forget about, because he had to jump off a ladder onto another ladder, and it was just you can't push a direction before you jump, but you have to push the direction like the second that you leave off of it, otherwise you won't make it. So you really gotta time it. Just the split second you jump, you need to be moving in the right direction. And the reason I keep going back in that in is because I'm trying to climb the ladder by pushing up, and that takes you back into the building you're at.
Are you trying to jump onto the thing so you can get up to that highest level? Is that where you're trying to go right now?
Yeah, because if I can get up there, it's not too hard to jump back around it, but I keep forgetting to unequip my glove, so I'm moving it around by accident.
So now you gotta go all the way back around to get the thing back to where you need it again.
I do.
Oh, so really it's like, oh, let me just start over again completely.
Yeah. You gotta find a ladder to take you out. And then I make some goofy mistakes right here that I didn't even make the first time around.
Is that a cat?
No, that is me trying to plug in my CDX because my son wants to play some Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, no, I was talking about the enemy that's wandering back and forth on the screen.
I'm talking about the noise over here. That guy, I'll have to look him up in the manual in a sec here.
So let me, while you're hooking all that stuff up, here I've got a little bit with the different characters.
Sure.
And there is... Their names, I don't know if they're in the manual that you've got.
They are, yeah.
Zem, Xemn is the dad. And, wow, where on earth do you get a name like Zem? And Maina is Zem's wife, that's the mom. Roas, R-O-A-S is the boy?
Yeah.
How do you pronounce that? Would you say Roas?
Roas, yeah.
Roas? Lil is easy, that's the girl.
Yep.
And Pachi, the being the pet. And Gila is the grandmother. And Daul is the grandfather.
That's a weird one too.
Yeah.
Now, apparently they all have different like classes too. The dad's considered a warrior. The mom's a wizard. The son is a ranger. And here's the weird one that I don't quite get, is the daughter is an elf. So I don't know if she was an adopted daughter. But she's also significantly shorter than the rest, not your typical elf.
Interesting. I wonder, was that just a translation error, maybe?
I don't know.
Because you know how wonderful a lot of these translations were.
I do. I've been learning that firsthand lately. Ghostbusters was a pretty good one.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Castlevania 2 is one of my favorite ones too, with you now possess Dracula's rib.
A winner is you. That's always one of my favorites.
They're all good. I love it.
But I think I'm going to forever now remember and use the congratulations.
One of my favorite games to play with my brother when he comes over is Castle Shikigami 2 because of the translation in that game. It's so...
I've not played that one.
Oh, it's good. Especially the 2 players. Get twice as much poor translation.
Oh, I see. Why are you doing that here? Is there like a secret thing? Ah!
Yeah, I gotta reboot the tiles there. See those 2 up at the top that are over top of the ladder?
Yeah.
I've got to ride them across that thing because everything on that bridge is a false bottom.
Oh. So is this the really annoying one?
One of them, yeah.
One of them. There are more.
Oh yeah. I haven't gotten to the crown yet.
And yeah, like I said, I guess I could understand this more in the original design of saying, yeah, this was a computer game.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're trying to do here.
I'm trying to make the blocks disappear so I can slowly.
Oh. And I can imagine the feeling every time he's just like, oh. Like, why are you doing this to me?
I think they make it this time though. Figured it out. The trick was to get one block down there instead of both, and to make the blocks on the bridge part disappear before I try and move everything over. Just seemed to go a little smoother. So I walk forward enough and jump to make it disappear, and then you can move the block safely.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, and like I said, you have to make sure you're walking and stopping with the block. So if you don't walk at the right time, you're gonna fall off. If you stop too early, you're gonna fall off.
Oh, boy. Well, hey, at least it kills the enemy when you shove a block into it.
Yes. See that block at the bottom there? The red one on the next row down?
Yes.
That one is actually an enemy hiding.
Of course.
So, yeah, they start adding like camouflaged enemies in, so I knew to get that one though.
Yeah, because it seems like really your life meter is not the biggest enemy in this game. I mean, that's not the limiting factor, really, is it?
No, the life is fine, yeah. And like there's not a lot of, well, maybe without that spike walking glitch it might be more of an issue. But there's not even any like pits you can fall into that'll instantly kill you or stuff like that. So yeah, dying's not the thing you have to worry about in most cases.
Yeah, because it really seems like the real worry is just trying to figure out how the heck to get anywhere. I mean...
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure after doing those crazy little block things, just running free from it has to feel really good.
Yeah, especially with that scroll, you get to add a little extra speed on there. This part is just long and annoying. Not particularly difficult, just a pain.
So you just have to I'm just going to keep shoving the blocks over and for each row.
Yeah, and if you screw up like I have and put too many blocks on the ladder, you have to reset them. Go back up.
Yay!
Yeah, it's really... And there I figured out how to do it properly. It's really not necessary to have this many of them in a row. You kind of got them figured out after the first 2.
Yeah, but you know, when they couldn't torture you properly.
I guess they had to do something to make the room long enough to fit all the other rooms, so the map didn't look funny.
That is true. I guess it does have to be a certain, you know, it has to be a square.
It's not quite as annoying as, yeah, adding in a whole bunch of extra keyed doors or secret passages, weird jumps, could be worse.
The interesting though that this game made it, you know, where you had to kind of utilize these different characters to do different things. I mean,
As opposed to just spamming through with one guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, like I said, I saw this tool-assisted runs where you can get like 2 crowns with the dad, but they look pretty difficult and not very intuitive. But they still, even in those videos, they have to use most of the characters.
So when you say tool-assisted, what do you mean?
Those are the ones where they can use like save states, and they can influence what the enemies drop, random things like that.
So they're playing a hacked and emulated version.
Yes. So if they want to have lots of scrolls so they can run through the game really fast, they'll stack up 4 scrolls, and before the 4th one runs out, they'll make sure another enemy drops another scroll. And because you're running so fast, it's hard to make jumps. They can save state and redo it as many times as they want until they make the jump. So it's really impressive to watch, but I'm sure there was a lot of failure going into it and manipulating the game.
Yeah, but I guess, what's the point?
Like I said, they're fun to watch. This game, like I said, it'd take me like 40, 50 hours to figure out on my own. It's fun to watch someone beat it in 12 minutes.
I guess, but they're not really beating the game.
No, but they're
hacking. They're hacking the game.
Other than the manipulating the random drops, they're playing the game. Worst case scenario, you could use it as
you can't save state this game. I mean, that's not built into the game.
No, but it's similar. I don't know, they're fun. I like watching tool-assisted runs.
That surprises me.
Why is that?
Because you're such a strict...
Well, I don't like to play them. I would never do them myself. I just enjoy watching the game be broken after it's broken me a few times. It's nice to see it get its comeuppance.
Yeah, but it's kind of like, I don't know about you, but it's kind of like beating games with Game
getting
Genie.
close. So the screen right above this is the crown. But it's kind of an annoying map. You've got to go above the screen above this, and figure out the right spot to fall down through the ground. And then from there you have to do another little block moving thing to get to the crown. The good news is that once we're done with Dad's crown here, the son's part is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I mean, hopefully that they've, beaten you to death with the rest of this stuff. They're like, okay, fine, you finally got the thing, now go and kill him.
Well, if you didn't know where to use the crowns, thered be a lot of bouncing around still in the game your first time through. But for the purposes of this video, it's not so bad.
So, how would you even know what to do with the crowns?
I can't remember where the hint is. Maybe it's in the manual. I think that's right. Yeah, in the manual, it says those pictures of the princess that you noticed earlier on. Mm-hmm. It says, the secret is hidden here. After collecting the 4 crowns, try various techniques using one of the crowns to discover the secret of the princess. An ancient legend tells of a passage to the dragon's lair located near a volcano. So you get a hint in the instruction book. Without the instruction book, you'd be fairly clueless, I'm sure.
So again, if you rented it back in the day.
Yeah, you'd be out of luck unless you got your crappy little photocopied thing they sent with you.
So, if modern game companies want to learn something here, to prevent used game sales, they really need to keep doing paper manuals and just make things ridiculously cryptic and only in the manual.
I'd buy it. Oh yeah, that was like, I played Ultima recently too, and I was feeling incredibly lost in that too, especially with the moon gates. And then I realized after finishing it that, yeah, the manual describes them quite plainly. They're not that challenging to figure out if you've got the manual.
I see. So,
Go ahead.
like oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so like any good man, the very last thing you did was consult the manual.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm planning to play Quest for the Avatar shortly too, so I made sure to read up manuals and look at the maps of that one beforehand. And I think it will be a great help.
So here again, you're trying to find the right spot to drop
Yeah,
through. Is
there's
that it?
those. I'll show you when we get back up there. There's lots of discolored areas on the bottom.
Yeah.
And every single one of them you can fall through. You've got to figure out the one to fall through.
Just pure repetition, right?
Yeah. Like there's 3 there, so you can fall through one of them and see that the other 2 don't lead you to the right spot also. You don't have to go through every single one, but yeah. And here I am kind of going forward and counting them so I can figure out which one to drop down.
Very smart. Maybe that's why they left you that block there.
I think that must be the only reason, because it won't let you get to the crown on it, but you can get right to where the treasure chest is hiding it. Which is right up there. That's the treasure chest.
Ah.
Now, you know how long it took me to do the dad's area in comparison to everyone else's because of all those puzzles?
Right.
In that episode where Reno's playing this, he gets to this spot and dies. Has to go and redo all the dad's puzzles again.
Oh no. And how does he die? I mean, it doesn't seem like it's that complex.
Spikes.
Oh, he doesn't know to push up.
No, I think because most of the rest of the game he seemed fine. I think he just forgot to watch his life meter. Forgot to hit an in after a while, because he fell down several times like I have here. And just forgot to hit the in net when he came up once and did him in. So I counted wrong apparently here, and I go in the wrong one first, so I have to do it one more time. I'm thinking there's some kind of secret with these blocks, but I'm just taking myself to a shop that I don't need to go to.
I see. But you didn't know that, so...
No, but I should, because I was trying to count them all going underneath there.
Funny how some of these games handle ladders, isn't it? I mean...
This one's annoying.
Yeah. I mean, where basically any portion of a ladder, you can do whatever you want with it.
Yeah? How do I get up there?
But some of those make really good use of that, like Mega Man, you know, where...
Yeah, the ladders are fine in Mega Man, yeah. Climb, shoot.
But you can, you can hop on and off the ladder wherever. I love the Castlevania games a lot. The only thing that does still give me a little bit of why didn't they fix this is why can't you jump up onto stairs and start climbing them?
You fall through them, yeah, that's...
Yeah, why can't you just... Why do you have to start at the very bottom?
I don't know. Yeah, you can beat down death, but you can't, jump on the stairs.
It's like, really? The stairs are right there, man. That's alright. A lot of people complain about the jumping mechanics in the Castlevania games. What do you think about it? I really like it.
They're not my favorite. They're kind of, I know you probably won't like this analogy because you're a big fan of Castlevania games, but I'd liken them to the Simpsons games. Not in the way they move, but in the fact that they take a lot of getting used to. Once you're used to them, they're fine. You can play the game, but they're just so unnatural that they take a while to get accustomed to them.
And do you think that's because of the fixed width jumping?
Probably. Because, yeah, it's like Journey to Silius has a similar jump, and I have the same kind of, it takes a few runs to get used to jumping, and then once you got used to it, it's fine.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to ask. Mechanically speaking in games, you prefer jumps where you can constantly control your character in motion.
Oh, yeah, the Mario, Mega Man, this game, yeah, it's very nice.
And see, I really kind of enjoy the fixed jumps because it's always very clear what you can make and what you can't.
Sometimes it's an annoying, like the platforming parts are generally fine. It's the trying to maneuver around enemies that's sometimes frustrating because of them.
So do you prefer, or do you think it's a good mechanic to have when your character gets hit to get knocked back?
Oh god.
Or is that annoying?
Can I pay
It's annoying. it's interesting, like in Ninja Gaiden and Castlevania, but it's also annoying.
Okay, so you don't like that. You're fine. You just like where you just get hit and you get a little invulnerability, but you don't actually, your character doesn't move.
Vulnerability is awesome.
Yeah, well, I mean, most games have to do that, because if not, you could kind of get into a spot where you could die just from an enemy sticking into you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah. It seemed like I'm not sure if it was just me or if it was actually happening, but in Nightmare on Elm Street, it seemed like if a bad guy hit you and you were close to a wall, you would instantly die, even though you normally get 4 or 5 hits.
Well, yeah, probably because you didn't get enough of that invulnerability.
Exactly, yeah, that's what it seemed like. Yeah, so this boss, very easy with your dad here. He's got an easy pattern to avoid too.
It's like a golem or something? Is that what he is?
Yeah, they call him a rock Gaia in the manual, but he just looks like a golem. Reno showed another method where you can just stand on that top ledge and kind of weasel him underneath you, and then you can just stand right on top of him and shoot directly down. You don't have to dodge him at all.
Very nice. So, as you said before, that no matter what order you do the crowns in, the bosses are always in the same order, right?
Right.
So, potentially, you could make your life a lot harder by using a character that's not well suited for a certain boss.
That's right, yes.
So there is an optimal way to do this game in terms of who should go first, who should go next.
Like the girls, they're a bit weaker. I have trouble fighting the bosses with them compared to the male characters and the dog. So ideally, I'd want to hit them all with the dad or the dog.
But I mean, choosing which character you use to fight which of the crown bosses is probably an important piece, right?
Yeah, but that's what I mean. I'm sure you could weasel your way to them with different characters that you would want to, but it's just too hard to do that. In some cases, now you're going to be possible.
What you said earlier was like, whenever you get the first crown, no matter which crown you get, you always fight the same boss, right?
That's right.
So, again, you could potentially go up against a boss with all the different characters, depending on which crown you wanted to go for first, right?
Yeah, that's what I've done in this playthrough. I've gone through with a different character for each boss.
Right, but I mean, you could have fought any of the bosses with any of the characters, just depending on what crown you decided to go after in what order, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So, are some characters better suited to tackling certain bosses than other ones are?
The only one that, like, you've got the jumping ability with the daughter that might be handy for couple of them, but really you just want that strength. None of them are too hard to dodge. They've all got fairly easy patterns.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think the stronger the character you can get there, the better off you're going to be.
I see. So now you got the sun, and you have to go get the sword?
I have to get the sword, and then once the sword's in my possession, we slay the dragon.
I see.
So I've got the jump boots because they're awesome. Sorry, not the jump boots, the power boots. They're awesome. The jump boots, I just need them to get to the first good warp zone. I don't want to use that one there.
And I see you've got the crown in your item inventory, but there was 4 crowns, right?
Yeah. If you'll notice if I pause the game or I go into an inn after using a crown, it just every time you warp, it drops the inventory spot down 1. But after you return home, I believe, it replenishes them back to 4.
I see, so there's no way you can mess it up.
Yeah, so if you've screwed it up, you just go home, and then you get to try again.
I see. So do some of these princess things take you to places you don't want to go?
Yeah, some of them are just red herrings, and you just end up nowhere useful.
Of course.
Yeah, like I said, I think there's about 10 of them maybe in the game, and you've got to go in a specific order.
So you hit one, it warps you somewhere, and then you have to find the next one you're supposed to get to?
That's right. The boy's very limited in the items he can use, so he can't get to a lot of the ones that you need to get to later on without warping to them.
Ah. That's it.
So there's my first warp. And it tempts you here by putting you right over top of the sword, but you can't quite get to it.
Aha, yeah. But it's kind of showing you also that, hey, look, there's a warp thing that will take you here.
Yeah, and you got to remember the manual said to find the one by the volcano. So we haven't quite been there yet, which is just down 1 screen, I believe. Oh, maybe 1 more. And if you'll notice, my life is almost empty. The sun seems very weak compared to the rest of his family.
I guess maybe letting you know that he's really not built for just exploring the dungeon at large.
Absolutely. And the dragon does a lot of damage when he hits you. It only takes a couple hits to be done with you. There's the volcano in the background there.
Yeah. So is the dragon a very difficult end boss?
No, you'll see when I get there. It's actually the first time I got to my first playthrough, and I beat him. I almost died because I didn't quite figure out his pattern as early as I would have liked, but it's really not that tough. He does the same couple moves over and over. Probably the easiest boss to figure out of the 5 in this game.
I would hope they would reward you if they're giving you a very weak character to go play with, you know?
Sure. Yeah, after the game really isn't about the bosses. They're all very forgettable and easy for the most part. It's about the exploring, right?
Right, yeah, puzzles.
Yeah. The bosses just seem like they're going through the motions. You need to have a boss because it's a game.
Right. Ta-da!
And they send you to this lovely dead-end area where you can harvest more gold if you want, because there's a shop and an inn in here.
That way you could buy an item to warp you back if you wanted to?
Yeah, but I've got one, so I just need to swap to it in my inventory here, I think.
I see. Because there's probably no way to get out of here except warping back, right?
I don't think so, yeah. So I've got my 4 crowns back now after I've used them for the warp there.
I see. But you don't really need to use them again, right?
The crowns? No, because I got the sword, so I don't need them anymore.
So now it's just off to slay the dragon, huh?
Yep. And I forgot to equip an item to help me get to the dragon. I need the jump boots to get over that part. Suppose I could have used the enemy, but I guess I didn't think of that at the time.
Yeah, really kind of unique that they make enemies a part of the platforming, you know?
Especially with the odd patterns that some of them have.
So when you select the sword, does it do anything special?
No, it's like a key to fight the last boss. The only time it does anything is when you walk right under him in that area I pointed out earlier.
I see.
I'm trying to think if there's any items we didn't go over. I haven't used any of the magic bottles. That they just fill up your magic meter fully. I think.
It could be important, I suppose, if you kind of didn't know what you were doing.
Yeah, or even in the mom's part with all the keys there, you can run into magic pretty quickly, so it could be helpful there.
Oh yeah, especially with that key thing, right?
Yeah. I think other than that, we've gone over everything else item-wise here. Yeah, that's about it. Just some other little tips for adventuring in the back of the manual that are, other than the princess one and the crowns, are very useless. Like open chests, and you need keys to open doors. Spikes hurt.
Only if you don't press it. Oh, here you go. Okay, he's come back to life now. Dragon. Alright.
Dragon's name is Keela.
Keela.
Yeah. The king dragon.
Green breath.
Green fire, yeah.
And what, glowing red eyes it kind of looks like?
He just blinks a lot.
Yeah, it's odd that he doesn't really exploit his ability to shove you into a corner. He's like, nah, I'll back up.
Yeah, he's kind of got like a wall he won't pass there. So yeah, I think I get hit, so I'm down to like one more attack and he'll kill me very shortly here, and then I have to kind of play it a lot more safe.
Yeah, because I mean, you have to hit him a lot.
Well, you gotta hit him in a certain spot, I think, because it seems like a lot of my
Is it in
weapons.
his face?
It seems to be like in his chin or like his neck. So now I'm down to one more hit and I'm toast. You still got almost half his health.
Yeah, because I keep noticing you're like spamming him like crazy, and very rarely does he take damage.
Yeah, I don't know. Reno was mentioning that because he hit him in the belly the whole time instead of in the face. But once the dragon got to a lower health, it seemed like none of his attacks were working for a while. So I don't know if it's just a glitch where they should be hitting him and they're not.
I don't know, it seems to me like, yeah, when the ones that count are kind of like around his eyes or where his like cheeks would be.
But yeah, like I said, Reno hit him in the stomach hole. I didn't jump at all. I just walked and hit him on the ground.
Huh. Yeah, maybe it's just glitchy. This is like you really kind of long boss fight here.
Almost got him. There we go.
Ah, there he goes. What's he trying? What is that? Like a pile of bones or something?
Yeah, it looks like he melted down and he's like exploded in his own green fire there.
Alright.
So you can see my head sticking up on the ladder there. It just hangs out before he climbs up for a dramatic effect or something there.
But now they're all like in their happy garb.
Yeah, and there's the dog that looks nothing like the one we played with.
What is he doing?
Dancing. I think he's backwards too. He's like showing you his butt while the rest of the family's waving at you.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. I'm like, what is he doing?
Mooning.
These outfits like remind me of like Sound of Music or something.
Yeah, I could see that.
Alright, so you had the wave. Now it's time for the credits.
Yeah, some pretty good tunes here too.
I look forward to it.
They go over the actual game cast before they even get to the developers.
They have last names. Warzone.
Yeah, which is funny because the manual and the front of the Dragon Slayer box calls them the Drazel family.
Interesting. So you wonder, was it just a translation error?
I don't know. Maybe it's just sloppy where they just forgot to translate a part of the manual.
Terratoons?
Yeah, those are the bosses.
Archwinger, Erebone, Rockgaia? Yeah.
And here's all the different bad guys.
Now, do these match up to the same ones that are in the manual?
They do, yeah. Except for in the manual, they've got funnily drawn pictures of each of them next to their names.
Eggman.
Actually, they've got quite a bit more in the credits here than they do in the manual. Because they've got 3, 6, 9, 12 in the manual. And there was much more than 12 there.
Yeah, it's quite a list. But really doesn't help you very much because you don't get to see the sprite next to the name.
No, and in a lot of them, they don't exactly suit their name. You would guess it.
Dr. Key.
Dr. Key, yep.
I'm guessing none are real PhD. He did all the programming by himself. It's pretty impressive, Dr. Key.
He's got a doctorate in programming. There you go.
Oh, well, you know. Oh, now suddenly he has assistants. You know, it's funny though. I mean, if you count up the number of names, I'm betting you're probably somewhere around like a dozen people.
Yeah.
Okay, so Koshiron, obviously that has to be Yuzo Koshiro. So that's pretty close to his name.
Yeah. I
Produce.
think that should be producer.
Probably.
Or he's just the guy that brought them salads every day for lunch.
Foul call.
Just
Broderbund, which
out of nowhere in a second here, the dragon's gonna scream, and then everything just kind of stops.
really.
Yeah, and that's the end. The music stops and everything. It's just.
It's kind of like, you thought it was all over. No, the dragon is back. Play again.
Oh god. Do the second quest, yeah.
Sorry, Mario, our princess is another cow.